Dr. Diabo Seito spoke to Andile Sangqu, who is the executive head of Anglo-American South Africa.
One of the highlights of the mining Indaba this year is the outlook that the industry has for the mining sector for 2018. It seems like it is a very, very positive one. They see political developments in South Africa as a good catalyst for growth, and they also see that commodity prices and minerals and all of that, the prices coming up from historically where they have been, as a good catalyst. So all in all, it looks like the industry is set to have a very, very good 2018. But to take a little bit further for us is Mr. Andile Sangqu. He is the Chief Executive at Anglo-American and also is the Deputy President at the Chamber of Mines. So thank you very much for making time to speak to us. I've painted a very rosy picture of what the mining industry is expecting. This is according to what your industry colleagues have told me, that you're expecting 2018 to be far better than we've seen 2017 and 2016. Take us through what you've seen that will make this industry far better than it was.
I think that from our point of view as an industry, we are very excited about what we have seen as the changes that have taken place since December last year with the ANC Elective Congress that has taken place, but also what the Deputy President of the country said in Davos about that the mining charter impasse would be prioritized. So we believe that with the problems that we had with the DMR having to go to court to find a solution to the challenges that we have with the mining industry, we currently believe that the solution that can be found to this impasse would be if all the parties were to sit around the table through a process of dialogue and find a solution, to this problem. The reason why I'm focusing on this is that the issue of regulatory certainty, the predictability of the regulatory framework, and the consistency of application of regulation would really give investors the confidence to come back and invest in this country. We are a country that is blessed with a number of natural and mineral resources. So we do, and we have global experience in mining. We've got the expertise here, and we would really like to create a right kind of a climate where we would be able to exploit this potential, and also to create opportunities for job creation, and in turn, the returns and that we generate would help us to be able to address some of our socio-economic challenges that we face as a country. So we are quite positive and confident that all of these developments bode well for the future.
Did the speech that the Minister Zwane made this morning give you the added confidence that you already have?
Look, I think the Minister, you can see from his speech that he did not speak more specifically about anything, number one, that concerns us as a mining industry. Personally, we would have liked him to be far more pointed in the way in which he encourages us to talk together, but I suppose maybe that wasn't the appropriate time or moment to do that. But we remain confident that discussions with government, as the Chamber of Mines, will continue. We've received very strong signals and indications of a commitment to sit around the table. And it's not only government and business, it's also labor, it's also communities. It is all these stakeholders coming together, finding a solution to our problems. And 2 points that I also want to make is the fact that we are a long-term industry. In other words, when we find solutions, we should not look at short-term solutions. We should be looking at kind of solutions that would work for the industry in the long term. That's the first thing. The second one is that we need to have a common vision. We need to have a vision of the kind of mining industry that we want to have, the kind of legacy that we would like to bequeath as an industry to our host communities. So that kind of vision needs to be a shared vision. So we would need to get together and work towards, number one, crafting that vision co-creating it and articulating it out there. So it's on that basis that we have the kind of confidence and the resoluteness that we have that will find solutions to these problems.
Someone would argue and say the kind of vision that you have, especially with regards to transformation, hinges heavily on perhaps the mining companies or the mining industry sitting in the hands of government. What do you think?
Well, I think that government remains a very critical role player in the sense that they have the power of setting the right policy environment, but also being in a democratic society like we have. There are other key role players, like employees, for example, are very important role players. We need to understand, what are the things that are important for them, how better can they support the pursuit of this vision. So our communities as well. So what we need is to spend more time to co-craft and co-create this. And while government is at the very pinnacle of all of this, but there are other stakeholders that do matter. So we should not really marginalize them in these conversations.
And just lastly, how is Anglo American going to make sure that the mining communities with which you operate, they also benefit? We talk a lot about beneficiation, job creation. However, of course, we've seen, on the contrary, a lot of job losses instead. And now that the country or the industry is starting to pick up, what are some of the initiatives that Anglo American is doing to help the growth along?
Well, as Anglo American, we have done a lot of things, but we are also acknowledging that the kind of challenges that we have as a country far exceeds, the resources that are available. So you've got to prioritize, what it is that you can do and measure the impact, that we can do. You will recall, for example, that our HIV and AIDS program, when we introduced, it was a pioneering effort. It's something that was never done before by corporates. And we did not do that because there was a legislation that said that we should do that. We do that because we saw that it was a threat to our employees. It's something that needed to be managed, and we are rolling out the treatment and counseling to communities. This is just but one example of the number of initiatives that we do. Similar issue with employee indebtedness. We saw a lot of our employees being taken advantage of, by loan sharks and through means of lending that were not acceptable. We intervened, through a process of education and helping them to consolidate their debts, try and create an environment where they can be able to take more money home. So this is just but a number of initiatives, and many more that we do. The work that we have done, for example, in education, making sure that we focus on early childhood development, right to tertiary education. It's a vast number of initiatives. We issue bursaries and so on. So we are very committed to the improvement of the welfare of our communities and of society in general. So there is more opportunity through growth, through this new momentum that is likely to be generated for us to be able to put more back to our communities.
Mr. Sangqu, as always, it's very, very nice to speak to you. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. That was Mr. Andile Sangqu. He is the Chief Executive at Anglo American. He also holds a seat at the Chamber of Mines. Also, very positive about the outlook for the mining sector and also the role of government and compliance, good governance and ethical leadership. Also part of those things that are likely to make 2018 a success for the mining industry, according to the industry itself.